Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for the Week 6 NFL slate. We're going to give out 3 plays I'm liking for the Sunday slate of games, and as always, we're going to break down these plays, guys. We're going to share why I like them. Now, before we do get started, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you enjoy these Prizepicks videos, hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel, if you are new to Prizepicks, and if you don't have a Prizepicks account, make sure that you go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prizepicks. When you do so, you'll get $50 of free lineups just for playing $5. So you sign up, use code NOAH, make a deposit, put in a $5 lineup. Win, lose, doesn't matter. Prizepicks, they're going to give you $50 worth of free lineups. Then you can use those free lineups, hopefully win some money off those, and you can start to build up that bankroll over on Prizepicks. So definitely check them out, guys. Use that code NOAH so that way you do get that new user offer when you sign up. And then we do also have a partnership with Sleeper. So I do want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper. If you guys don't have an account over on Sleeper, you can download the Sleeper app, use promo code NOAH over there, and you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. So whatever you sign up and deposit, Sleeper will match that up to $100. And they're also going to give you a free $20 entry. So as you can see on the screen here to my left, free $20 entry just for signing up and using code NOAH. And you don't have to make a deposit to get that entry. So Sleeper, they're really trying to get new users in. You know, we're in the heart of the football season, college football, NFL going on right now, and we've got NBA coming up in a week or so. Sleeper's trying to get in new users with all these sports going on, and they're going to give you a way to try out their app and potentially win some money without even having to put any money in. Again, you get a free $20 entry just for signing up and using code NOAH. So definitely go check out Sleeper, guys, if you don't have an account over there. So that way you can get that $20 entry, and you'll also still get that deposit bonus up to $100. But yeah, man, we got some picks to talk about here for the Week 6 NFL slate. Now, before we do talk through our picks for this week, I want to recap our plays from our video last Sunday. So we gave out 3 picks last Sunday. 2 of our plays hit, and then the other play that we gave out was a push. So that play voided, basically. We gave out the 2 props that we gave out. The hit were Rico Dowdle over 60.5 rush yards. It's pretty much sweat-free. Dowdle had a huge game last week, had over 200 rush yards against the Dolphins. And then we took Jonathan Taylor over 18.5 fantasy points, which was also sweat-free. Taylor had a huge game. I think he had 3 touchdowns, had like 60 or 70 yards, a couple catches. Big game from Jonathan Taylor. And then we took Ladd McConkey over 7 targets. McConkey finished with exactly 7 targets, so that was the play that pushed, basically voided. So basically 2-0 last week. Gave out 3 plays. One of them was a void or a push. But 2-0 last week. Hopefully you guys tailed and made some money. Let's run it back this week. Let's go 3-0 on these 3 plays for Sunday. So talking through the first play that I'm liking, it's going to be a fantasy score prop. And we're going to look at a fantasy score prop on Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert's fantasy score line on Prizepicks right now set at 18.5, and I like the over here more than 18.5 fantasy score on Justin Herbert. Now, the Chargers, they're going to be coming into this game a little bit banged up at running back. Amarion Hampton ruled out for this game. Najee Harris still out as well. So we're going to see like a combination of probably Hassan Haskins, Kamani Vidal as the basically primary running backs for the Chargers. And the Chargers this season, they have already kind of changed up their offense. They have really leaned into their passing game. You look at the pass rate this season, the Chargers have the 3rd highest pass rate in the NFL. Only the Chiefs, the 2nd highest pass rate. They have the 2nd highest pass rate this year. Only the Chiefs have a higher pass rate than the Chargers this season. And not many people expected that. You look at last season, and really ever since Jim Harbaugh has took over as head coach, the Chargers have been kind of a run-first team. But this season, they've really changed up their offense. They're leaning a lot more into Justin Herbert, into his arm, using Justin Herbert as a weapon, and they're throwing the ball a lot more this year. And now with a bunch of injuries at running back coming into this game, this is a spot where you expect the Chargers to probably really lean into Justin Herbert here. I mean, you look at Herbert's pass attempts line on Prizepicks right now, that line is set at 34.5. So clearly, the sportsbooks, they're expecting a good amount of pass attempts for Justin Herbert in this spot. And it's a really good matchup for him going up against the Dolphins. The Dolphins have been a really bad defense so far this season. The Dolphins are giving up, I believe, their top 5 when it comes to fantasy points allowed to opposing quarterbacks. Let's see. Yeah, Dolphins giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to quarterbacks this season. They're giving up Let's see. They're giving up a bunch of rushing production to quarterbacks as well, and we've seen Herbert really running a lot lately. I mean, you look at his rush yards prop, that line is set at 20.5 on Prizepicks. Herbert had 60 rush yards last week. Like, he's really been running a lot this year as well, which only adds to his fantasy score upside. So we've just got overall a great spot here against a struggling defense that's given up a lot of fantasy points to quarterbacks, given up a lot of rushing production to quarterback. Just sets up as a really good spot overall for Justin Herbert. And, you look at his prop lines for this week. I mean, he's projected for about 250 pass yards, which is about 10 fantasy points. He's projected for 20 rush yards, so that's an additional 2 fantasy points. His passing touchdowns prop is set at 1.5. If he throws 2 touchdowns, that's an additional 8 fantasy points. And there's a possibility maybe he gets a rushing touchdown. I mean, Herbert so far this season doesn't have any rushing touchdowns, but as much as he's running this year, I mean, it wouldn't be surprising to see him get a rushing touchdown. Just has a lot of ways he can get over 18.5 fantasy points. Expecting a lot of pass attempts in this spot, expecting him to really lean into Justin Herbert's arm. Don't know how much production they're going to get out of the running game this week without a Marion Hampton. So this could definitely be a spot where Justin Herbert has like 35, 40 pass attempts. And also the Chargers, they have one of the highest pass rates in the red zone this year, which is really important for Justin Herbert. When we're taking his over on fantasy score, we're pretty much hoping that he gets touchdowns, because obviously touchdowns are super important for fantasy points. And the Chargers, when they get in the red zone, when they get in scoring position, they're throwing the ball a lot. They've got the second highest pass rate in the red zone. Only the Chiefs have a higher pass rate in the red zone this season. So there's plenty of touchdown potential for Herbert in this spot. Just a lot of boxes you can check here. I think this 18.5 fantasy point line on Prizepicks is a couple points too low. I think this line should be like 20.5 in this matchup. I think 18.5 looks pretty good. I like the over as our on a Herbert as our first play for Sunday. Now the next prop that I like is going to be on Quinshon Judkins, and I'm liking Quinshon Judkins for more than 9.5 receiving yards. Now Quinshon Judkins, really ever since he pretty much made his debut in the NFL, he has had a really, really big role for this Browns team, and his role is only growing from a week-to-week basis. If you look at his first game with the Browns, it was expected that in that game he was going to be like on a snap count. He wasn't going to play a ton, and he still got 10 carries for 61 yards in that game. Also had 3 targets, 3 catches for 10 yards. And then against Green Bay, that was a game where he got a bunch of production on the ground. Didn't get a ton of passing game production. Only had one catch for 1 yard. He did have 2 targets. He also did have 18 carries for 94 yards. And then the last 2 weeks, 21 carries, 23 carries, 82 rush yards, 110 rush yards. And then in the passing game, 4 targets, 4 catches, 33 yards, 2 targets, 1 catch for 18 yards. Obviously, we're talking about his pass game production here. That's what we're betting on. Betting on his over receiving yards. And so far this season, he's gone over this line in 3 out of 4 games. He's had at least 2 targets in every single game this year. If Judkins gets 2 targets, I think there's a pretty good chance he probably hauls in both of those targets and gets 10 receiving yards. You look on Prizepicks right now, he is favored for over 1.5 receptions. His 1.5 receptions prop is a goblin, which means it's favored to go over. That doesn't mean he's guaranteed to go over that line, but it just shows you that the odds, the sportsbook market, they're favoring the over on his receptions. And if Judkins gets 2 receptions, I think he's got a pretty good chance at getting 10 yards on 2 receptions. There's obviously a chance that maybe he has like 2 catches and maybe one of them is like for negative yards or something, but I think there's a very good chance if he gets 2 catches, he's getting 10 yards. And there's definitely a possibility he only gets 1 catch, but that 1 catch is a screen pass and he's got good blocking and he gets over 10 yards. I mean, last week he only had 1 catch and that 1 catch went for 18 yards. So I think this line on Judkins is just low. I mean, obviously betting on running back receiving production can be a little bit volatile. Unlike, outside of guys like Christian McCaffrey, those elite pass-catching running backs, it's hard to project running back receiving production because it can just kind of vary from a week-to-week basis, but it's pretty clear that the Browns want to use Quinshon Judkins as kind of like a workhorse running back. I mean, you look at what they've gotten from their other running backs this year. Jerome Ford, he's kind of just been more of a pass catcher. Like, he's not getting a ton of carries. Last week he got 5 carries. He did have 2 targets, 2 catches, but he's not been as involved as many people expected. Dylan Sampson's barely been playing. I think Dylan Sampson played like 7 snaps last week, only got 2 touches. Like, they're really using Quinshon Judkins as kind of a workhorse running back right now. I mean, he's been getting like 20 touches a game. He's been getting decent usage in the passing game. If he continues to get 2 to 3 targets each week, I think there's a pretty good chance he's going to get 10 receiving yards most weeks. In this spot, going on the road to Pittsburgh, this is a spot where you expect the Browns to probably be forced to throw a little bit more. They're 6-point underdogs in this game. We could definitely see more dropbacks from Dylan Gabriel. I think last week Dylan Gabriel didn't have to really throw a ton, if I remember correctly. Let's see how many pass attempts Gabriel had last week. I mean, he had 33 pass attempts last week, so a decent amount. But he's projected for 31.5 this week. So, I mean, clearly the sportsbooks are expecting Dylan Gabriel to be throwing a decent amount in this spot. The game script sets up as that way. 6-point underdogs on the road. I think we'll see at least a couple targets for Quinshon Judkins here, and he has shown the ability to be explosive, to be efficient with the touches that he gets. And if he gets a couple catches, which he's favored to do so, I think there's a pretty good chance he gets 10 receiving yards on a couple catches. So, like that is our second prop for Sunday. And then our last prop is going to be on T. Higgins. And I like T. Higgins for more than 6 targets. So the Bengals are making a change at quarterback this week. They went out and signed Joe Flacco. Pretty much they're done with Jake Browning. I mean, Jake Browning, he's been really, really bad so far this season. He's been very inefficient. He's been throwing a lot of interceptions. Just wasn't really playing that well. So they went out and got Joe Flacco. They went out and traded for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is going to start this week. Is Joe Flacco an upgrade from Jake Browning? I think so, in my opinion. Joe Flacco at this point in his career, he's not the greatest quarterback, but he is a veteran. He has a ton of experience, and he is a guy that can get his players the ball. And he's got more weapons on this Bengals team than he had with Cleveland. With Cleveland, they just don't really have a ton of production from their receiving game. They don't really have a ton of great receivers outside of Jerry Jeudy. David Njoku is a solid tight end, but like outside of Jeudy and Njoku, the Browns are not a team that has a ton of great pass catchers. But the Bengals have Jamar Chase, one of the best receivers in the NFL. They have T. Higgins, who's a solid receiver. Chase Brown's been really good as a pass catcher this season. They've been getting. This is a team that has production from their receiving game. So I'm expecting this to be kind of a better situation for Joe Flacco. The real question is, can the Bengals offensive line block, hold up enough so that Joe Flacco has time to throw and he can get his guy the ball? If that's the case, I could definitely see Joe Flacco kind of improving the production for T. Higgins and Jamar Chase over the next few weeks. Will it happen right out of the gate here in this spot on the road against Green Bay? It's really hard to tell. But I think what we can confidently project for Cincinnati is volume, pass game volume. That's what we can confidently project here, which is why I like betting on T. Higgins over 6 targets. We're not necessarily betting on him being super, super efficient, getting a bunch of yards and such, but we're betting on volume, and I think we're going to see plenty of volume from this Bengals pass game just because they're going to be forced to throw in the spot. You look at the spread in this game, they're 14.5-point underdogs going on the road into Green Bay. So this does set up as a spot where Cincinnati is likely going to be forced to throw, and the sportsbooks, they're expecting that to be the case because right now on Prizepicks, Joe Flacco's pass attempts line is set at 36, and I'm pretty sure that's the highest of any quarterback this week. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I don't think any quarterback has a higher pass attempts line than 36. I'm looking right now. Let's see. Mac Jones at 36, Mahomes at 37.5. But yeah, other than Mahomes and Mac Jones, they're the only other 2 quarterbacks with a pass attempts line tied with Flacco or higher than Flacco. So clearly, the sportsbooks are expecting a lot of pass attempts for Joe Flacco in the spot. And if Joe Flacco is going to have anywhere near 36 pass attempts, you would have to think at least 6 of those pass attempts are probably going to go to T. Higgins, one of his top targets. Sure, Jamar Chase probably projects to get good volume here. I think his targets prop on Prizepicks was set at like 9. But outside of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, this Bengals team, I mean, they don't have a ton of other pass catchers that are going to demand a ton of volume. Now, Chase Brown has been getting a lot of targets as a receiver coming out of the backfield. Is Joe Flacco going to target Chase Brown as much as Jake Browning was? I mean, that's kind of to be determined. But outside of really those 2-3 guys, you don't expect a ton of production from the Bengals tight ends. I mean, Mike Gesicki, he's not been great this year. He's not been a super high target earner. I think Gesicki had like 5 targets last week. He had 5 targets last week, but other than that, he's just been like a guy that gets like 2 to 3 targets on a weekly basis. Andre Yoshivas did have like 7 targets last week, but he's another guy that when T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are healthy, typically Yoshivas doesn't project to get a lot of volume. I'm just expecting the volume to be concentrated more around the top 2 receivers here, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And I think 6 targets for T. Higgins, just a low projection given the amount of pass volume we project for the Bengals here. And clearly the sports books are expecting a lot of pass volume, given that Flacco's pass attempt line is set at 36. Also, we have the added bonus that Jamar Chase is questionable for this game. Now, it was reported that Jamar Chase is expected to play, but he popped up on the injury report with an illness. Maybe come Sunday, Jamar Chase doesn't feel good. Maybe he plays, but he's not 100%. Like, there's plenty of avenues for T. Higgins to have an even bigger role than what we maybe expect. But I like betting on these Bengals guys early. I think getting Joe Flacco is an upgrade from Jake Browning. I think we can expect the Bengals just to continue to have to lean on their passing game because in certain game scripts, they're going to be forced to throw a lot. This is one of those game scripts where they're probably going to be forced to throw a lot. And I think their offense is going to be a little bit better, a little bit more efficient with Flacco at quarterback than Jake Browning. I mean, Browning just has not been good. He's basically been like one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. You would think Flacco is going to be at least somewhat of an upgrade. So that's what I'm liking, guys, as our 3 props for the Sunday NFL slate. We're taking Justin Herbert, more than 18.5 fantasy score. We're taking Quinshon Judkins, more than 9.5 receiving yards. And taking T. Higgins, more than 6 targets. So this is what we got as our 3 plays. Hopefully, we can go 3-0. We can hit again this weekend and make some money on this Sunday slate. But as always, guys, I appreciate you watching these Prizepicks videos. I appreciate your support. Make sure to hit that like button down below if you enjoy these videos. Hit that subscribe button as well. And also, if you guys don't have an account on Prizepicks, go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH. Get those $50 in free lineups once you play your first $5 lineup. But good luck. Let's win some money this week, guys. We'll see you in the next video.